guys, welcome back. It's Saturday morning, coffee, sun shining, and today I'm thinking of re-educating myself in the ways of mead. Now, what is mead? Mead basically is a honey wine. It's one of the oldest wines, probably early stages of the first fermentations, around about 2000 BC, if you can believe Wikipedia. And today we're going to be doing 3 varieties. Now, I know there are loads of varieties and variations thereof. I'm going to do a regular mead, which is basically fermented sugar, honey and water. I'm going to put a juice of an orange and a lemon in there as well. Yeah, so then we're going to do a sweet melomel, which is the process of the mead, which is the honey and the water. In this one it's the inclusion of fruit, and in this case we're using dried cranberries. So it's going to be a cranberry mead. And then after that we're going to be doing a metheglin, I think that's how it's pronounced, metheglin, which is basically a spice mead, and it's the inclusion of herbs and spices, but in my case we're going to be using ginger. I'm going to be using root ginger, fresh. Okay, we're not using all of that. We're using, how much are we using? 15 grams of that. We're going to be using some hops. This is Cascade, and we're going to be using an ounce of Cascade. So with the Cascade we're going to do a 15-20 minute boil. Not decided yet, probably a 20-minute boil. We're going to do half ounce at the beginning of the boil and the other half halfway through. And I'm going to put the ginger in at the beginning of the boil, so that really incorporates into the mead. So I'm going to finish my coffee and we're going to get cracking with that. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, I think, is the sweet melomel, the cranberry mead. We've got a pot, gas burner. It's only a small one, because it's a camping burner, so we're going to use that. We're going to use water, honey, and we're going to put the cranberries all into we're going to heat them up to 180 Fahrenheit. And then let that cool down before we put it into the fermenter. So in here, straight away we're going to need water, honey, the cranberries and the yeast nutrient. Then obviously when that's cooled down we'll transfer to fermentation vessel and pitch yeast. Okay, I've put 3 litres of water in here. I'm softening the honey up. I'm going to throw the cranberries in. I'm going to do a little bit of stir. Cranberries are in there, and these are 170 gram bags, so I'm going to put them both in. Try and get a good cranberry flavour. This is only going to be a 1 gallon batch. Those cranberries are going to go in through the fermentation as well. They just, while they're in this hot water, they're going to rehydrate, hopefully impart some of their cranberry flavour onto the mead. Here we got the honey. There it comes. that heavy. We've used 3 pounds of honey for the batch. Check the temperature. Turn the gas back on. And we'll bring that up to temperature, and then we'll let that cool down and pitch the yeast. But before that, before I forget, we're going to add some yeast to your drum. Yeah. And it's 1 level teaspoon per gallon, so we're only doing 1 gallon, that's a half a teaspoon measure. So. I'm going to put a little bit extra in because honey is really lacking in what yeast need to crack on with. I think also, while I'm at it, I'm going to put in some citric acid as well. Okay. And because I've got the cranberries in there, I'm going to put some pectolase. Give that a stir around. That's ready. It's really, really simple to do. I understand why some people are a bit reluctant to make mead, but it is a really simple process. The only thing is you've got to wait for it. You know, it takes at least a year to mature, but it's well worth waiting for. It's a really good wine, and plus, you know, if you make it every year, it's only that first year you've got to wait. You know, you make a good enough batch to see you through the following year. Like what I'm doing, you know, there's a 3 gallon batch coming up of 3 different meads, which is going to give me, what, 6, I think I have 12, no, 12, 18 bottles of mead. That's really more than enough for me. I'll even give some of them away. So yeah, it's really worth doing. Okay, that's up to temperature now. So I'm going to transfer that over to something else so we can use the pot again, and we're going to let that cool down, and later on we'll pitch our yeast to that. Okay, next we're going to do the metheglin. Okay, and that is the spiced mead, and we're using ginger and Cascade hops for ours. This one does require a boil. We're going to do a half-hour boil. That's what I've just, you know, I've looked online at other people's and what they've done. I'm going to go at half an hour, half ounce Cascade and the ginger for the full 30 minutes, and then the other half ounce of Cascade for 15 minutes. Actually no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the hops into 3, and I'm going to put the first third in at the beginning of the boil, one at 15 minutes, and what I'm going to do with the final third of those hops is I'm going to put it in a sieve, and I'm going to transfer the must from the pan into something else to cool, and I'm going to pour it through the sieve over the hops, catch all the residual stuff that's left in the pan as well, and then fermentation and ferment that out and see what we get. Okay, so let's crack on with that. Right, first of all, I'm using, I've put 3 litres of water, and I've put 2 litres of water for the initial boil. We'll just put that up to the boil. Weigh out our ingredients now. It's, let me just check here. We're doing 15 grams or ½ ounce of ginger. So we've got that. So what we'll do is we'll peel this. We've got 16 grams, I can live for 16 grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and just slice it up like that. So they're in little slices like that. Yeah, and then I'm going to pile them all up. Then I'm going to slice them into little strands. And then basically all going to be like this. And that's going to be small enough. So I'm going to put them into the pan. It's not boiling yet, but let's get as much flavour out of them as we can. And then hops. We're going to weigh out the hops. We get 1 ounce of hops, split that into 3, and then we're going to put the first addition in as soon as it comes to the boil, and the next lot in at 15 minutes. The last one at flame out, or into the sieve and into the bucket. Okay, so hops. Bit of a dry. These are leaf hops. I use leaf hops all the time. It's just a personal preference, but I don't think it makes a difference if you use the pellets either. People use them with just as good results. Some even say better. We're doing 1 ounce. We've got 1 ounce, or 28 grams, of Cascade hops. Okay, we've reached the final stages of this one. The last 15-minute addition is in. We're going to set up another bucket to pour the most out of the pan over the hops, and that'll be that. Let it cool down and we pitch the yeast. It is really as simple as that. And all that's left to do then is the mead itself, just the honey, the water, and I'm going to put the juice of an orange and a lemon in there. It's just that one to do. The process is the same, but I'm not going to have to do a boil, I'm not going to have to heat it up. It's basically, I'll heat the honey up in a little hot water just to dissolve it into the liquid, and then pour that into a fermentation vessel and pitch the yeast, and that's it. And it's as simple as that. The only downside to all this, you're going to have to wait a full year for a taste test and see what it all tastes like. But, you know, if you all crack on now, next summer, you're going to have some wonderful mead to drink. You know, I've got some left from last year. I have given a few of them away, you know, and that's it. You can see it's beautifully clear, nice and light. There's a little bit of sediment sat on the bottom there. I don't think I left it in the demijohn long enough to clear all that out. But still, it is a wonderful, wonderful wine, and it is good for any occasion. For, you know, sitting out in the sun, sipping a cold glass of wine, dinner parties. It's a good, I would say, a good dessert wine. But you know, each their own. After dinner, I like to drink beer. I will drink wine through dinner, but after dinner, a nice glass of beer would be great. And that's it. You know, this is the first of my How I Do That series. I do this every year. So give it a go. It's a good drink. There are other variations of this. If you take out the water and use apple juice, you've got a cider. You can always go and see Uncle Jonah. He does that strawberry cider. I'm sure he's done a cider as well. Check out his channel. And you know, do a little bit of research. Jump on Google. It's not difficult these days to find out how to do anything. You know, and experiment with it. You know, play around. I mean, this is the first time I've used hops in the spiced mead, and that's just because there's a bit of a hop craze going on at the minute. Everybody's hopping everything. There's hop wines, hop ciders. You know, everybody's hopping everything, going hopping mad basically. And I think that's down to that big old Scot, Big Sir Q. He's really got everybody going, and there's a bit of a competition he's got going at the moment, which I'm contemplating doing. I thought I might give it a bash, make an absolute tit of myself for a laugh. But we'll see what kind of time restraints I've got on that. But we'll hopefully we'll give that a go. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the boil. I'm going to go and get a bucket ready, and we'll see you on the flip side. Okay, we've reached the final stage of the spiced mead. All that's left to do now is transfer it into that bucket through the sieve, and job done. Gonna let it cool down, pitch the yeast. So let's get that done. Try and do it without spilling anything. Nice and slowly through the hops, so we get that aroma in there. And of course we want to try and drain out as much of the hop matter as we can. Okay, and that's that. All done. Let that just drain off, cool down, and then we'll pitch the yeast on that later on in the demijohn or whatever I choose to ferment in. So we'll put that to one side, and all I've got to do now is put that there. We're going to clean out the pan, and then we're going to do our regular mead. So I'll go and do that now, and then